Chuck Todd is NBC's political director and moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, good morning. Good to see you, sir. I know you're just back from Alabama. I'm headed down there myself tomorrow. If we look at the real clear average, which aggregates the most reliable polls, they've got Roy Moore with a 4-point lead right now, although some people say is polling really reliable in this race. I've talked to plenty of people inside the state of Alabama, Chuck, who support Roy Moore. It's not that they wouldn't object to these allegations. It's that they don't believe them. They don't believe the women. They don't believe the media. They don't believe the sources of them. So they support him. Handicap this race for us 2 days out.
Well, look, I just was down there myself, and what was amazing, Willie, was the lack of interest in wanting to talk about it. It's obviously I would say this campaign has cast a pall over the entire state. People don't even want to talk about it when the cameras are off. They're sort of disgusted, they're anxious, they can't wait for it to end. So it has an unusual feel for the last few days of a campaign. But I would say this, Willie, the last slice of undecided voter is this. There's somebody who will never pull the lever for Doug Jones. They've not voted for a Democrat in their lives, and they're not going to do it Tuesday. What they're trying to figure out is whether they can stomach voting at all. And that, to me, is the key to this race. This last slice of undecided voter who decides, do I care about a Republican in the Senate enough to show up to the polls and pull the lever for an accused child molester? Or do I say to myself, I can't be complicit in this, so I'm staying home? Doug Jones is counting on that voter staying home.
And to your point, the Alabama Secretary of State came out this week and said he's expecting 25% turnout among eligible voters there. Let's game it out a little bit, Chuck, and let's say, for argument's sake, Roy Moore wins this election on Tuesday. Leader Mitch McConnell has already said if he wins the race, he immediately would face a case before the Ethics Committee in Congress. Larger picture, though, that win, what would it mean for Republicans going forward, having that man in their midst?
I think it means that it is I'm going to borrow a phrase from another Republican consultant who called it a brand anvil on the Republican Party. Roy Moore will become the most famous U.S. senator in America. Hard stop. And that's not a good thing for the Republican Party. I think it will only exacerbate this divide inside the party between sort of the traditional business crowd and the populist, sort of Bannon-esque populist evangelical crowd. Look, I think Roy Moore is dividing evangelicals. We're seeing it every day, this divide about whether, do you care about your piety enough to get behind somebody who maybe talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk. So I think it's only going to make things harder for the Republican Party to stay united, and it just hands the Democrats another way to beat up the Republican brand.
Before I let you go, Chuck, 3 big resignations in Congress this week. Senator Al Franken, Congressman John Conyers, Republican Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona. Is this just the beginning? Are the floodgates opening on Capitol Hill?
Oh, I think it is. It is just the beginning. Every day we're learning about another private anonymous settlement becomes public. You'll have that. But, Willie, every legislature in America, not just Congress, all 50 state legislatures, we're going to see a sea change thanks to resignations and all of this.
All right, Chuck Todd, thank you very much. We'll look for much more this morning on Meet the Press. Chuck will be joined by Senators Bernie Sanders and Tim Scott.